Yeah.
Oh,
Greetings, class. It is Sunday. We are here. I am Kris Haskins. This is Dan Borrero. Today, we are going to be talking about real estate investing tips, secrets, and strategies that has kept Dan Borrero and me in business for over 50 years combined. Okay, so tonight we want to talk to you intimately, talk to you about what you're doing with your deals. How can we help you? We got a phone number I'm going to bring up in a minute because we want you to call in and bring us your questions and tell us what you're doing around the country. Dan Burrell, how you doing, brother?
good evening, good evening, good evening, brother. As always, man, it's a privilege and an honor to be sharing the screen with you tonight, man.
What up, MLK? Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. You too, Dan. Thank you, brother. I was thinking about you on Friday. My video editor didn't get my video done till like, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I want to talk to you, Dan. When I was in the music business, right? We had a saying like, time is irrelevant. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. It's like, why are you telling me what time it is? It doesn't even matter.
It's
Dan,
irrelevant.
tell me about your experience as being an entrepreneur.
Shit, I'll share with you guys a story what happened to me this week. And I kid you not, I'm exhausted.
Me too,
So
Dan. I'm hurting right now.
yeah, this week was one of those weeks. It's always, no matter how much I try, no matter how much I say to myself, come the summer, I'm gonna drop everything. I'm gonna enjoy it. Come
you did you did a lot last summer though.
this summer, I actually accomplished that to a much better, a much
Yeah,
larger extent.
you did.
But even the holidays, I'm like, you know what? Come the week Christmas, I'm done. Like from Christmas to the 31st, from the 22nd to the 31st, I'm gonna be done.
It's hard, Dan.
Never happens. Never
You
happens.
know, it's weird. In my mind, I be thinking I'm a schmuck. I be thinking that I hear Will Smith in the back of my head, my mind going, when he's on vacation, I'm working. Do you hear that same little record?
That's always been my motto. When my competitors are sleeping, I'm working.
I'm
When they're
working.
vacationing, I'm working. When they're socializing, I'm working. When they're at a party, I'm working. When they're at a barbecue, I'm working. If they're hanging out on a holiday, I'm working. That's how I've always beat out my competition. Not because I'm the smartest guy. Sure, you could ask my
Yeah,
teacher. They'll tell
definitely
you I
not.
was the dumbest fool in the class.
But we know what, Dan, we got to keep that in perspective because you cannot work every day, all day for your entire life. It's almost like, what the hell are you working for? You got money, but then you working out like I can't even go enjoy it. How
So,
do you put it in
I,
perspective?
I disagree with that. I'll tell you a story of a person. I was just using this story hold on a second. I
Okay.
was just literally giving this story to I was eating with my workers, man. I bought them lunch yesterday and I was hanging
That's
out with
nice
them.
to do.
And it wa- whenever I do that, they seem to they ask me a lot of questions, which I'm good. I'm happy because that means they want to progress in life, right? And one of them was saying, "Yeah, but all this money you got, what good is it if you can't enjoy it?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you a story about this man that I won't say his last name. His first name was Hector. When I had my video store, right? And I know this guy since I was a kid. So this guy used to be a truck driver. He used to make loads of money, loads of money. So every Friday, he was the guy who walk into, he's the guy who walked into the bars and say, first round on me, Rick, first round on Hector. Everybody like, yeah, Hector's the man, right? And he's the guy like had the nicest jewelry. At 10 o'clock at night, my man came down with his new suit.
Oh,
Back then,
wow.
the polyester suits. We're talking about the 80s, right? Polyester suit, looking all suave with a big gold chain, right?
Crazy, bro.
And talking about where he's gonna go. And the next day, he's showing off, about the women he was with, the drinks he bought. Every 2 years, he went and bought himself a brand new Cadillac. Fast
Mm,
forward, now the man's like 65 years old, 68 years old, and every Friday night, my man pulls up now. It ain't a brand new Cadillac no more. It's an old Cadillac when I had my video store. And he go get a beer and hang out with and talk to my brother and I and hang out with us. And then, when we were closing, he grabbed two videos and go home for the weekend. So I said, Hector, bro, what's going on, man? Like, I remember when you used to come all dapper. And he goes, oh, I'm still dapper on Friday nights. I said, yeah, but those suits are outdated, brother. And the car ain't the new car you used to have all the time. He goes, man, if I knew I was gonna live this long, I would have saved some money and worked hard. He goes, now I'm waiting for my social security check.
Oh
The mail lady.
no.
He goes, if she comes past the third, I want to beat the shit out of her. I
Talk
said,
about the check.
yeah, it ain't her
Gave
fault
him
that
that
it ain't
check.
coming in the mail. She don't do, all she doing is delivering what she gets. So, you know, I guess the point is, people, in life, what you're gonna pay, either you pay now or you pay later.
Now I'll pay later.
Regardless, you're gonna pay.
You
You're gonna
told
pay
me.
Peter. Decide when you want to pay him. When you're younger or you're older, but either way, you're gonna pay.
I know if the creator came to, if glory comes tomorrow, man, I could definitely say, look at how many hours I put in, man. I done my dues.
You know, though, but the one thing I'm beginning to realize, because I'm
Doesn't
I'll be
stop.
62 in 6 months.
Oh wow,
The reality is, I don't know anybody who ever said in their deathbed that they wanted to work harder,
that's true,
or
man.
that they wish they worked harder, right? But you know, the one thing know I can say in my deathbed is I did my best.
Did my best. Y'all call in with your questions. I'm gonna keep asking Dan. Dan, I want to raise. I am getting a little annoyed with this. Make money in real estate with with no not using your cash. I don't want to just address that. You've been in the game since '89, and I want to talk to people about a principle that comes from the good book. You got to learn how to make other people money before you think you can become a millionaire. I don't know any guy. I don't know. I haven't met the guy yet that just started off self-employed and we're just boom right to the top. I'm asking you, with people that are working, like W-2 people are getting such a bad rap now based on this whole new entrepreneur lifestyle or whatever. And I firmly believe that if you can make your employer money, then you can go out and make money for yourself. But I want to see what your thoughts on that.
And you and I have had that conversation dozens of times. It's I look at when I was working for W-2, I looked at it as my employer was providing me the opportunity to become an entrepreneur. And
Mm,
I'll explain that in two ways. In two ways, I was getting an opportunity. I was always the first man there and last man to leave. I was always the first guy to want to learn the most because everything that I learned while I was working for somebody else, I incorporated into my business. The reason I was the first man there and the last to leave was not because I wanted to be the best employer, start kissing ass, was because I was trying to create the discipline I was going to need when I became
mm,
self-employed.
that's deep.
So it was like you know how you say you gotta exercise that brain muscle.
Hmm.
Well, I was exercising uh, the steps that I needed to become disciplined, right?
Mm. Discipline is a muscle too, in and of itself. It make those decisions.
Yeah. And then the last one is that W-2 is providing me one the necessary documents I needed to go get my loans when I was
Hmm.
starting. Secondly, it was also providing me the resources I needed to pay my bills while I
Mm.
was building my business. Now, again, let's get back to when people say, and I used to hear this a lot, is, "Hey, but when do you take time? When are you going to enjoy your life? Life is short. You don't know when you're going to drop dead." Well, I
True.
may live until I'm 80. Then I wish I was like Hector.
It's funny you say that, Dan.
What if I do live until I'm 80, and I can't do the traveling because I had that mentality. Life is short, right?
It gets
So
harder as you get older to work hard.
yeah, it becomes more difficult to work as hard as we worked. I mean, I
Yep.
can't. I know for a fact my body nor my mind would let me work the way I used to work right now.
Nope. Dan, I would go out drinking and doing all this stuff and get to work the next day. I can't even do that no more.
Yeah.
I'm like,
To accept, press 1.
we got a caller coming in. Caller, you're on the line with Kris and Dan Borrero. Please state your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hey, how's it going? This is Jalen. I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
Jalen in the D.
What's going on?
How you spell that, Jalen? J
Not
A
that much.
L.
You have J-A-L-E-N.
Jalen from Detroit. That's one of my favorite cities, dog. I love the D. Jalen, how can we help you today, brother? What you got?
Yeah, so I'm looking at a property right now, in the middle of purchasing it, but I don't think it's a good deal just because like when I'm looking at it, it looks like we're gonna have to basically tear the house down, and the house only sits on 0.02 acres,
Zero
and I
point
don't think there's
zero.
like much like value.
Damn, 0.02.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just repeating what you're saying. 0.02. That's not even like a. That's zero. That's not even a tenth of an acre. That's,
0.0.20. It's almost no. It's almost a quarter acre.
no,
What is it
zero
like
point.
70?
No, Dan. 0.02, not point 0.2. 0.02. It's not even point 0.1.
Yeah, that's probably not buildable.
We don't know. It's Detroit, you don't know. I mean, in Brooklyn, I'm sure it's.
What's this? What is that? Well, that's what is that? A 30 by 100, 30 by 80?
Yeah, this is what is this? 30 by 30 by 80.
And it's zone buildable if you knock it down.
Well, it's been grandfathered in, Dan.
Well,
Does
Yeah.
somebody got something?
not necessarily.
So this is in Lake Charles, Louisiana, actually. So this is not in Detroit. It's in Lake
It's not
Charles.
in the D.
Okay, so it's in Louisiana. I'd be okay.
Let's keep
Yeah.
hearing about Dan, but you relax.
Let me break it down. If you
Hold
don't
on. Let the man finish, Dan. Jalen, keep
Go
going, dog. Don't let Dan.
mind.
Don't worry about Dan. He'll be all right. All right. It's in Louisiana. You didn't tell us that, Jalen. You didn't say the shit. We thought you're gonna be able to go drive to the. So now you're telling me it's out of the state.
Yeah, it's out of the state. But I do business out of the state. I have like people there. I have contractors. I have everything there.
Okay, cool.
But when I'm looking, oh, go ahead.
Well, we're listening.
Yeah, so like when I'm looking at it now, just looking at the lot size, because it used to be a single family home of 717 square feet on there. And looking at the pictures, it looks like I'm just gonna have to knock it down, and then that's gonna cost. And I'm just thinking like after that, it's really not a lot of value to like build a whole entire new house. So ultimately, I just wanted your guys' opinion on that. If you've dealt with going into houses and then like knocking them down and then figuring out that it may be too much work to even buy it, or where would you need to be? I'm just trying to get your guys' feedback on that.
Hey, you mind me asking them some questions if you don't mind?
Man, shit is your show.
I got a couple of questions for you. Before we answer that, the zoning. Have you checked to see if you could grandfather a house back in there?
So it's zone commercial.
Okay, so it's currently a house now, but it's zone commercial.
The lot is, yep.
Okay. Have you checked to see what the best alternative build would be on that commercial space?
So, because when I looked at the houses in the area, I didn't see anything but like storage units. So I'm thinking it would either be that, or the best use would probably be like a church, because there's a church next to it. But you couldn't build a church on the 0.02 acres. So really, I don't think it's like a good option to do anything but a single family.
But how are you going to build a single family if it's zone commercial?
That ain't happening.
So what I'm saying is like so the lot itself is commercial. Like it's let me see here, because I'm looking at it right now. So basically, like it's zoned from what let me see.
Hey, Jalen, this is the thing. I'm going to make it real easy for you.
Hold on, Dan. Let him answer the question.
Hold on, no, I'm gonna make it easier so he doesn't even have to answer that question to know. What is it going to cost you to buy the property? What is it going to cost you to knock it down? What is it going to cost you to remove it? What is it going to cost you? Are you writing this down?
Yeah. So what is going to cost me to buy, knock down, and then remove
What's your acquisition costs? What's your closing costs? What's your knockdown costs? Your removal costs? Your architect costs? Your expediter costs? your permitting process
Mhm.
costs, right? Then
Right.
you're gonna look at if you took that same amount of money and spent that same amount of time, what else could you have done with that money,
Somewhere else.
that time, right? Now, let's say if I'm going to make $200,000 and it's going to take me 8 months, 6 months, and my initial cost is 200 grand, 300 grand, that's between a 75%, a 65% to 100% return. I may do it. But if I could take that same amount, that same 200,000 and buy something that's existing that I could fix and flip and move, do three of them in the same period of time and make 400,000, then I'm not going to do it.
But
So
we
you
don't even know what it is.
have to look at what your opportunities are and what else you could do with that money to determine whether it's worth doing. But before you know whether it's worth doing, you first got to know your real numbers.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I understand you.
But
Because
Jalen,
my acquisition basic. Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say my acquisition is 8,000. Closing costs should be somewhere near like I'll just say 1,000. But like usually 600, 700.
Yeah.
But basically, so that's like 9,000 in. To knock it down is probably gonna be anywhere from like 4 to 5 grand. With the removal, that would probably be an extra 1 to 3 grand. Because it's a small house.
Yeah,
And
I don't
then
know, man.
I
These
guess
numbers don't sound right to me.
It cost me 10 grand. It's cost me 10 grand to get rid of a house.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like New York City, that's 80
We
grand.
know. Yeah, you ain't not. Go ahead. So you in it for about 18 grand then, 20,000.
18, 20. Yep.
I want to know, what is your plan? Is this flip money or is this long term hold money? Because Dan has turned in vacant lots into parking spaces and crushed it. So that's why I want Dan to not. I want to see what your strategy is.
So that's the thing. So I was thinking of the best use for it, and that's kind of what I was trying to get from you guys.
Let me
Because
ask you a question. Why don't you do this? This is a good question. There's a church next to it, right?
yes,
Okay. Why don't you tell the church you putting this property, you just put it on the contract, right? You can put it on the contract and put a stipulation you need a 90-day due diligence, right? Now you go to the church and you say, hey, church, if I knock down this property and I gravel it, I'm going to rent this to you for $500 a month,
There you go.
right?
That.
And church, by the way, if you pay me 500 extra, I'll rent it to you with the option to buy. But you're going to have to give me 10,000 down payment,
Or whatever you can get out of them.
right? Now you just turn that vacant land into cash flow over a period of time with interest payments. And if they don't exercise that option, you keep all that money.
I would definitely do. That's why I wanted to know your exit strategy. If you're long term or short term, Jalen, which one are you? What are you looking to do, short or long?
on this one it was really going to be a short term.
Why?
But after
Why?
so because I don't the lot size, because I just had found out about the lot size. I don't think I was really gonna end up backing out because how short the acreage is, it just doesn't make sense unless you do what Dan just said, which is probably contact the church and see if we could do some type of like lease option with them. But it was really just gonna be like a short term play.
That's it. I would put it on the contract with some type of verbiage that allows me to get out under any circumstances. And I would approach all the neighbors, the neighbor behind it, the neighbor to the right, to the left, to the people across the street. You never know. And then if somebody shows interest, buy it. If they don't, cancel the contract.
But even if they don't, Dan, I'm thinking 20 grand. I'm just like, you could rent that to somebody around there, and you tear it. I mean, right, Dan? Somebody gonna take it.
If it's a commercial property, and you You could do a 100-year lease on the land and let them build whatever they want to build.
Dude, you're in the driver's seat. But yes, Jalen, give
Again,
me
it
that
all depends on the population level, how many cars drive by it. It's
true. If it's commercial, Dan, if it's commercial, hopefully we're going to presume that it's enough traffic. And if not, if there is no commercial, you can get it rezoned. If there, if you go to the city, but Dan, that is a phenomenal dude. You want to get as much. Jalen, you sound like a young man. How old are you?
I'm 20.
You 20, dude. I promise you, me and Dan are regretting. Let me do this. Where's that, Dan? Yeah, y'all clap it up. Give it a thumbs up.
Jalen, 20 years old, and you thinking like this, brother.
Yeah, you're
Congratulations to you, man.
Wow. I wish I had one. All I was doing was tricking when I was 20. So, Jalen, we want to get you in long-term thinking, dog, because Dan and I both regret selling a lot of our. I don't want to speak for Dan. I regret selling a lot.
So do I.
Any real estate investor, we regret selling some of these assets. If you can get into something for 18 grand, and even if they're paying $250 a month or whatever, 300 a month, what's 300 times 12?
It's 3,600, right? So let's say he's into it for 20,000.
20 grand,
right?
yeah.
His return is 18% a year,
which you can't get nowhere anywhere. You have all your money back in 4 years. What is that?
30. You getting an 18% return.
You have all your money back in 5-6 years. And
you still own the land.
You own the land and you got the income stream, dude. That's a monster, dude. All right, Jalen, you let us know what you're doing so we can help you out on that. If you don't want to do that, and sometimes Dan and I would look to partner with stuff like that. Send us a direct message. You can find us on IG.
Okay. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Dan's got so much money sitting in the bank. He got to find somewhere to do with it, Jalen. You got to put this shit to work.
Okay, you're confusing me with your bank account, brother.
All right, Jalen, I'll talk to you.
Peace. All right, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
He's in the driver's seat. Would you say, Dan?
At those numbers, yeah. There's a lot of variables, right?
What you mean?
Population level. What's the probabilities of population level continuing to grow? So I want everyone here to know this number. You guys could call in with your questions and ask us your questions directly. You have a deal you want to analyze, break it down for us. We'll analyze the deal for you.
That was some good stuff you just gave the guy right there. 100-year lease. Yeah, I would love to do that. Now that's how you create a portfolio. You know what? That's how you create a portfolio with 0 calls. How many phone calls do you get on a piece of parking?
None.
Call me for what? What are you calling me for? What are you calling me? Right? What are you calling me for? Greetings, caller. You are on the line with Kris and Dan. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
How many phone calls? Devin from Jackson, Mississippi.
You have to whatever. I can't. Did you hear that, Kris?
Devin, yeah, Devin.
Devin, please, whatever you have on the background, can you turn it off?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Did I do that right? Is it MS? Is MS Missouri? Mississippi? What is your Mississippi? Did I do that right?
Yeah, Jackson, right. Mississippi.
Jackson. Devin, hey, well, how can we help you, buddy? What's your question? Oh, shoot. Did I lose Devin?
Trips me out every time I hear that you say it.
Devin's breaking out.
Devin, start from the top. We lost everything you said.
Oh, man, you guys, can you hear me now?
Got you loud and clear.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
What did you say?
I just want to first off say, man, I appreciate you guys, man, for the information you provide. And it trips me out every time you clarify between realtor and realtor. That's funny every time I hear you say it.
My ears be bleeding, dog. And if I hang out with people, I gotta just keep my mouth shut, man. But we're not gonna give them a hard time tonight, though. I appreciate that.
Okay.
What you got, bro?
Well, yeah. So I got a couple questions. One question is, do you guys have any experience with quiet titles?
Quiet titles are difficult to sell if you want to get title insurance.
You don't get that clean cut. You don't get that clean cut, Dan, at the general warranty deal or whatever deal.
quiet titles can cause issues. Um, you know,
Later.
yeah, you should. Well, not all the time. Let's ask
The
some.
story, yeah. Get the story. First
What?
of all,
Why?
what's the story?
Yeah. Why do you want a quiet title?
Is it a divorce? Somebody died, heirs everywhere, no one left to find ownership to a house?
Right. Well, in this particular situation, it's partial. And it may not be needed, but I like to get you guys' input. In this particular situation, this parcel matured to the state. So if purchase of land patent will be granted, and in the event if I want to borrow against it or do anything, in the future, it has been recommended to get a quiet title just to clear, everything. So I was just asking, have you guys had any experience with that or with that process?
I'm gonna leave that to the big dog Dan. I know New York quiet title from what Jessica Siegel told me is a lot cheaper. Virginia is about $5,000 to $6,000. I've never had to do one, but Dan, I don't have any experience with them.
I would tell you, I've never done it. But when I've bought properties with quiet title, and I would say 50% of the time there's always a problem.
What's that problem, Dan? Somebody speaking up later?
Most of the time, it's either the documents prior to that quiet title weren't signed properly or notarized, or there's a death, or there's an estate situation, or the taxes that were still unpaid, or it was purchased with it in a tax deed sale, or there's always an issue, and sometimes it could go back 30 years, and trying to find those people to then correct it and then encourage them to help you correct it when there's no incentive for them to help you, because the reality is, like, have nothing to do with that. I sold it, or that was my father or my sister or whoever, right? It could be extremely time consuming and costly.
But isn't that why you get the quiet title, Dan, to make all that go away? You saying
unless it was done to an attorney that has a lot of experience doing this type of work, making sure that everything was paid in the back end, and then the thing becomes is when you go to sell it, many title companies won't want to insure it because they can't guarantee everything that was before that title was done right.
So we're saying he could do quiet title as long as he gets insurance on that acquisition.
I would definitely not do it without title insurance.
Devin, so basically it ain't gonna be cheap. So whatever it is, open up your wallet, pay the expert to do it, but make sure you get your own insurance when you acquire it, because if you don't, you might not be able to pass that title on to the next person.
Okay, good.
That's a good point, Dan. That's a good point.
All right, Devin, thank you for calling in.
You got something else, Devin? Devin, he got a bad line or something.
There's a question on from Stephen Flores on IG. Where could we find this? This recording will be on Kris Haskins' YouTube channel.
Yeah, on YouTube right now.
Find your YouTube channel.
Come on over to YouTube.
Well, just come on over.
Yeah, just come on over now. Well, we don't even like.
Go to Kris Haskins on YouTube. This is live right there, right now, and you can actually call in, whether you're on IG or YouTube. There's a number 757-204-1332.
Darlin Dell wants to know: can you get errors and omissions insurance to cover that quiet title, Dan? That's not going to cover the title insurance.
Is that the title company would get errors and omissions?
Yeah, they got that. That's not to say that they're going to give you a title that's covered. E&O is to cover the title company. That's not even to cover us.
Yeah.
Caller, you're on the line with Dan and Kris. Please state your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes, it's Devin again.
Hey, Devin, we lost you. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. So the next question would be for a young aspiring landlord, what insurance options would be best, or have you guys ran into a situation to where a situation happened and the insurance didn't cover that circumstance? What is something that you recommend to make sure that's in their policy to kind of cover that particular property?
You want your primary concern is your liability. So I wouldn't get anything less
Okay.
than minimal $1 million, but I always recommend 3 million. Um, that's your primary concern, right? If there's a fire, if somebody gets hurt, sues you for anything, you're covered, right? But the insurance companies are always looking to get out of a you. And one of the things they constantly do is, like, let's say you having a roofer come and put a roof on your house, right? You should not let that roofer on. I don't care who's working, whether it be a roofer, painter, whoever that is, work on your property without providing you what they call a certificate of insurance, meaning this, that if their worker falls or if their worker gets hurt on your property while they're performing that work that you contracted that contractor for, that contractor has insurance to pay that worker's workman's comp, workman's disability, if she should fall and die, whatever that is, because that worker or that worker's family is going to sue the contractor and you. Now, your insurance company will fight on your behalf as long as you have that certificate of insurance. Because if you don't have a certificate of insurance from the contractor, most likely they will not want. They're not going to cover you, because anybody working on your property to provide a certificate of insurance so that covers them and their work. At that point, the insurance company will cover you. Otherwise, they probably won't. Is he still there?
Good deal. And for Kris, yeah, I'm still here.
New investors insurance. Yeah, it's so weird. The more you acquire, the less you sleep at night. Right. I remember when I didn't have anything, I had nothing to lose. Right. So I'm like, fuck, am I covered with this? Am I covered with that? Am I covered with this? It can really do a brain job. And I only imagine what's going on in Dan Borrero's. The guy been in the game since '89. No flex. It's just the truth. So
Okay.
your mind goes and goes. Well, if you ain't got nothing starting out, your first time landlord, I mean, just make sure you get your landlord policy to start off and put the property to trust or the LLC.
Just make sure you walk around the property. You make sure there's no broken sidewalks. There's nothing that people could trip on. Make sure if you hire a contractor, they have a certificate of insurance, making you additional insured before they start the job. Just
That's true.
those are the little things. But let's talk about sleep, man, if you don't mind. Remember
Right.
when I didn't have anything, not sleeping because I was pissed off I didn't have anything, and I was trying to figure out how to have it.
Call from.
And then when I did have it,
I'm
I
sorry.
was
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Accept, press 1.
because I was
Send a
sure
voicemail.
about how I'm going to keep it.
At any time, you may press
I'm
star to
bugging.
join the call.
Sorry, Dan.
Yep.
I got somebody keep calling in. I'm trying to repeat that, Dan. I'm sorry.
So I want to get back to something you said about not sleep. You slept
Sorry,
when you
Kevin.
didn't have anything, and I'm like, I didn't sleep when I didn't have anything because I was always thinking. I was mad and thinking about how am I going to achieve to have something. So I didn't sleep then, and then when I did have something, I didn't sleep because I was worried about how I'm going to keep it safe, how I'm going to expand on it, and how am I going to continue on to scale. So
That's rough,
you
Dan.
don't sleep. Business people don't sleep.
Either way, you ain't sleeping.
We're not sleeping.
Devin, you got your answer there. Hey, caller, you're on the line with Kris and Dan. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Kris and Dan, this is Stephen Flores. I'm calling from Cleveland right now. I'm a big
Steve,
fan of Dan. And I love you too, Kris. I've been watching you for a long time. You guys are really inspirational, and I'm grateful for all the wisdom you guys share.
cool,
Thank you, man. Thank you so
so
much, Steven.
brother. Steven, what's your question, my brother?
Well, question is, I was wondering if I can buy a land lease deal with you in Virginia, Beach somewhere, or Norfolk, and if you can include some type of like mentoring included in that deal, if you have any available right now.
Hold on. What?
That's
I
a
heard-
Kris Haskins
I
question.
heard the last mentoring thing. What was the first part? I didn't get that part.
Question is if there's any land leases, homes that you have available, so that I can kind of like probably get like a Kris Haskins bundle with a home included.
So you're talking about a lease option or a land lease? Two different things.
A lease.
Yeah, I got one lease option right now. Are you here? Where you at?
So
You're in
I'm in
Ohio.
Cleveland, but I'm from the DC area, and I'm in Cleveland because I'm working on the rehab for a Section 8 house.
Hold on, dog. You left Maryland to go to to go to Cleveland to work on the property.
Yeah,
Is it your property?
I have a little rental portfolio in Cleveland. I have 3 houses that I just got last year, and
Okay.
I'm working on the
All right.
last one now.
That makes sense. How old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay.
3 houses. Come on, y'all. I would give Steven a clap. Put up for Steven. 45, just bought 3 houses.
Thank you.
That's not a small feat. I just want you bought 3 at one time. I know you had some sleepless nights getting this stuff work done, bro. But I wish I
Well,
could.
I learned
Good.
I learned a lot from Scott because I had to find a tired landlord, and I negotiated the deal with a homeowner, with a person who was tired of renting, tired of doing rentals.
Okay. No, I wish I could have got to you before. We could have done lease option. Why didn't you do lease options on those? So you ain't got to go to do no work in Ohio. I'm just asking.
Well, I'm planning to like build a portfolio, so I'm not really trying to have a home with a family and none of that. So I'm just working on these houses, and then when I'm not working on these houses,
Steven, are those houses single family houses? Are they multifamily? What are they?
yes, they are single family houses
That's cool.
in the area.
Yeah, I got one here. So if you just send my team a direct message, to go to IG, you just send it. I have one lease option. Somebody just moved out a few weeks back. It doesn't need anything. But I don't know what you're interested in doing, but we can figure something out. And Dan and I, we're working on our mentorship now, so we're gonna have a mastermind people can join. If I could just get Dan to just not have everything perfect. Can y'all help me, Steven? It don't gotta be perfect, right? It just gotta be done.
Actually, I got a surprise for you, Kris, this week.
Steven, I'd like to see
opportunity,
what you got.
but thank you guys.
Okay, brother. Thanks for calling.
And I'll.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
I ain't messing with you, Dan. Steven, I
was going to ask you to give me a time and a date this week that we can do a Zoom.
Okay. Listen. Oh, what are we talking about? The guy is doing deals, man. That's something in Ohio. But I don't want him. Dan, would you recommend developing new builds or fix and hold for long-term investment?
That's something
different, man.
I would have to ask a lot of questions on, right? Because every area is different. Every person has different skill sets. Every person has different risk tolerances. So, Dr. Travis Davis, come on live and ask some questions.
Hey, caller, you're on the line with Kris and Dan. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sean, I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sean from Charlotte, North Carolina. What's going on, Sean? You sounding mighty smooth.
Yeah, I'm just chilling, watching your channel, man. I always was curious about, pulling the trigger on development deals. I did a few wholesale deals in Arizona, but I've still been on an analysis paralysis for a second.
Regarding what type of deals you're talking about?
No, I was just looking at some land to develop, like some houses or like affordable houses around Charlotte, whether it be tiny homes. Because I saw some kind of project I seen in Atlanta. They did a similar project.
Those black joints was those black ones or something else?
The black people who developed
the black buildings. Like they did a whole tiny neighborhood that all the buildings were black.
No, I don't.
They got a couple of them down.
These were these were like modern builds, and they was building with like the new affordable ACs. They had the mini split ductless ACs. They saved money doing that, and then they had some kind of, the way they built it was efficient.
Dan, let's let Dan go through. I do I've done some development, but let's start with Dan. See what he says.
Kris has more experience doing from the ground up than I do. I'm much more comfortable with the rehab side, but I like buying pre-war construction where it's either
ain't none of that down there.
Brick, yeah, and there's nothing like that. Frame houses are real different.
What's down here?
What do you have?
Old houses, like 150.
Like I don't have a problem buying properties that are masonry properties, brick, cement,
Okay.
and for rehab, and I don't care how old they are, right? But when you get into wood houses,
But then don't forget, the problem with down south is the construction process is a lot different. Houses, they just don't last. Generally speaking, like your houses up there, they're gonna last a long time. In Atlanta and down south,
Yeah, the new builds down here are cookie cutter.
them joints is they're garbage. No disrespect to the properties that they're building, but the codes, Dan, what okay, Sean, what Dan sees in New York, the construction.
Now they got you. Now the whole thing about Charlotte is they done came out with a new 2040 comprehensive plan where they got new UDO codes, like and then they're starting to let the land be. You can use more capacity on the land, so. A lot of the codes that have changed. I don't know if they are that bad. I haven't looked at all of them.
Look.
They have a new
Reality. I know guys.
plan.
Okay, I know people that rather do from the ground up than do what I do, total gut rehabs. So it all depends, and I'll get back. It all depends on the same questions I asked the first caller. How long is it going to take you? How much is it going to cost you? And if you took that same amount of time and that same amount of money and did something else with it, where can you make as much more with less work, or are you going to make more money doing it from the ground up? So, what would make up my mind is how much am I going to make? How much time am I going to have to spend on it? And then if I took that same amount of money and put it toward an alternative investment, what would be my return? Right now, if it comes back and it says I'm going to make more money doing this in a shorter period of time, then I would do it.
But are you holding?
Yeah, I was looking at a 5 acre. It was like a 5 acre piece of land. It was 600,000. But wow. I was talking to the realtor, and they were talking about making it. They will, probably take 400,000. I was just talking to different people. And
so if you're buying a 5 acre, okay, so Sean, let me break it down. If you're buying a 5 acre lot that you want to create small houses on for affordable housing, you're years away from even getting to the point of building, because the first thing you have to do after you buy it, well, the first thing you should do prior to buying it is making sure that you're going to be able to get it zoned for that, and that's number one. Number two,
and that's what the UDO is for. The UDO, they just came out with the new UDO for Charlotte Mecklenburg. It's like a whole comprehensive building plan for everything. Like
Charlotte is advanced. They're pretty advanced down there.
Sean, what you need to do is hire an architect for that area, number one, and then have that architect hire a civil engineer to see what it's going to cost to do just the civil work. The civil work is the roads, the curbs, where the fire hydrants are going, where the water mains are going, the sewer lines, where the runoff water is going.
The land is the cheapest expensive you're going to have.
Right, into separate lots.
Yeah.
After you figure all that out is when you can decide to buy it. So what I normally do is I would put that land on the contract if I wanted it, subject to doing my environmental studies, my civil engineering studies, and my architectural and zoning and architectural studies. Then at that point, if you're not happy with any of that, then you could always get back your money. It's still going to cost you money because those three professions don't work for free, but it's going to be a whole lot less money of a loss than if you had bought the land thinking you could do one thing and you can't, and then you find out you can't.
Okay. All right.
But Sean, I want to know, are you like a developer? Do you have these guys in your back pocket? Because he might deal like some dudes have architects, designers, civil guys ready to go. Do you have those connections?
No, not necessarily. I just been talking to people because I just did a few deals like wholesaling, and I just wanted to get into development,
Why?
And I've been, super analytical. I mean, I guess I like building. I've been I'm in HVAC. You know, I've been in building
see,
for
you're
about
Sean, up front, I'll tell you right now, man. If you
developing
don't,
is the
if you don't have
hardest shit
experience,
you are ever gonna do.
if you don't have experience on that side of the business, or
Don't do
even
it, dog.
don't do it.
If you have
Okay.
experience, and not only that, you better not better. I have done several new constructions. If you don't have these guys in your back pocket, and you know you can't just hire any guy because if they screw it up, if they do the infrastructure wrong, dude, you're done. And Sean, you probably, I would really think you're probably 7 to 8 years out. It's take them a year to do these drawings. You know, they ain't sitting there waiting for Sean or Dan or Kris. That's why developers are usually doing multiple projects because they have all these, and they'll do the shit for free. Like, all right, just let me know when you close on it. That's why I didn't get into development because I had to pay for the sewer, water, gas. I had to pay for all that up front because I didn't have the connections. And when I learned that, that's when I decided to say, nope, never again. Because I've learned that the real developers, their boys will go do all this work and then won't charge them zero. They'll charge them nothing up front because they know they're
So
going
it's just about connection.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, but those developers are not getting charged zero because they've already spent loads of money developing those relationships.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
When I saw that, Sean, that was the day I decided, nope, this ain't for me. Because I seen these dudes.
So what's the best segue? Like instead of going to the development route, what should be the next segue?
Sean, I'll give you the analogy, bro. Learn how to crawl before you walk. Learn how to walk before you run. Learn how to run before you sprint. You want to get right to the sprinting process. You want to skip the crawling, the walking, and the running.
What do you recommend for them, Dan?
You're already doing wholesaling, so you obviously know how to find deals.
Yeah,
right?
Find it for yourself.
Find a deal for yourself. Do the rehab yourself. Manage the property yourself. Get some experience underneath your belt before you. And by the way, Sean, when you're getting that experience, you're going to be developing a lot of new relationships that'll come in handy when you're ready to get to the development side.
Yeah, don't do no development. No. You're gonna be 100,000 out. All right, Sean, we gotta take the next caller, brother. Good talking to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
End and accept. How do I do this?
Call from.
Let's see what we got here. Carla, you are on the line with Dan and Kris. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, sir. My name is Craig. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Love it.
Craig, let me get you up here, Craig. Pittsburgh. How's the weather up there?
Yes, sir. Where we at? Maybe like 50, 51 today.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be like 50 degrees tomorrow.
That's hot for y'all. Shit, y'all get ready to get some cold weather, I'm sure. Craig, what you got, man? How can we help you today, brother?
I recently got hit with a stop work order notice on my door.
No permit. No permit.
In an apartment building.
What you doing?
Yes, sir.
Doing work with no permits, dog? You know the deal.
Well, actually, I don't really, Brother Kris. This is my first project, but I went with this building. I got 3-unit apartment building. Okay.
Clap it up for you, dog. It's your first renovation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I got a 3-unit apartment building that I bought back in 2019.
Okay.
I got it from the sheriff's sale. Anyway, though, I don't want to try to be lying with all the details. But anyway, though, when I bought the property, I went to the code enforcement office and I asked some people. I said, "Hey, what all do I need, to do work on my property?" And there was a lady there, maybe a couple people, but this lady had asked me a couple of questions. She said, "Are you going to be restructuring the property? Or are you going to be doing any kind of major renovation?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm just doing some like little rehab, repair, new walls, new flooring, painting, cosmetic stuff, nothing structural." Make a long story short, I'm out there telling them the project, and I got hit with a stop work order.
So they didn't go into the property?
Did they go into the property then? Is that what you asked, sir?
Right. Did they go into the property?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
Okay.
So it sounds to me that someone called on you, man,
Mm-hmm.
and said that you're
I believe so.
you're doing structural issues. Now, are you doing structural issues?
Well, let me tell you what I did. I actually swapped out the front door, like the
No.
entry to the building, because
No
it really
permit
was
for that?
coming down.
You don't need a permit for that.
No, sir. No, I put a steel door up. You know what I mean, from by a professional. It looks good. And on the back end of the building, I put some like more support wood on there. But I didn't take the fire escape down. I just enhanced it. I'm trying to think what else I did. Then on the outside, I did do some new exterior window framing.
Right.
And I did have a lift, actually, guys. I did have a lift, like
Installed
what they call them, Jenny lifts. The Jenny lifts, like the what that booms out
on the stairs. What's
I'm
a
not
Jenny
sure.
on the stairs,
What's a
What is
Jenny
it?
lift?
What is that?
like a GLG, like one of those lifts that you see in like construction sites. You know, it has like a basket where you can operate it. It's on like 4
Why'd
wheels.
you need a lift?
You guys know what that is?
Yeah, well, why'd you need that type of lift?
Because I have a 3-unit apartment building.
Okay, but again, why'd
I
you?
think I have maybe like. Say it again, Dan. You can talk. Your guy's kind of low, but.
Why did you need? Why did you need that lift?
Oh, because I was doing exterior trim on the outside of the windows. So I figured instead of having the guys beating up that house on ladders, I went ahead and rented a lift so we
Oh, a
can go all
lift
around
for
the
them to
building.
work on.
Okay.
You
So
rent it.
I would ask.
Yes,
Let me ask you: did you have any arguments with any of your contractors?
Oh,
Or
I've rented a couple of guys before. Yes,
it sounds to me
I
somebody.
have some home contractors.
What about your neighbors?
I wouldn't doubt that.
What about your neighbors?
My neighbors been pretty cool. My neighbors been pretty cool for the most part. You know what I mean? I had a couple of neighbors. I had a white lady ask me actually was I going to have any Section 8 tenants in there. But
None of your
that's
business.
concerned,
Get out of
everything's
here.
been good. Yeah, right. That's the only quote unquote problem I had thus far. But other than
Well,
that,
that
I've
could be a problem,
been
bro.
pretty good.
Sound like it's that should
Sounds to me like you may have a problem with a neighbor, and you may have a problem with one of the people you kicked out.
none of your
You know,
business.
anybody, if they didn't get into the property, the first thing I'd go down there and say, you know, what's the problem? Why did you put a stop work order if you haven't gotten into the property?
What I will say around here, Craig, we do any window work. They do require us to have a lead-based permit because all windows usually they got lead paint around them, man. So it could be something as small as that. Like, but all it is you got to have a certificate. The contractor has to have a certificate. That's all.
Yeah, I would ask what's the problem. I wouldn't let them in until I know. I would not let them in until you know what the problem is.
I bet it's the windows, Dan.
Yeah.
I bet it's the windows.
You know what? No, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to tell you guys something. I went over to code enforcement, and when I went over there, I was kind of, you know, a little bit heated. You know, I actually ready to hurt somebody. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's not going to help.
But I kind of calmed myself down. No, that's one of my little, I guess my quote unquote mentors told me. He said, "Listen, they're your friends." I said, "Well, they ain't acting like my friends." I got money invested.
Code enforcement's not your friend.
So when you went down there and you asked them why did they put a stop work order, what did they say?
Well, okay. Well, thank you for asking that question. What it was, he was talking about like you can't do this kind of work.
What kind of work?
Without permit. And the whole reality is, like I told her, I said I ain't doing nothing besides what I told the lady last year that I was doing. I said I was just doing some cosmetic work, if you will. Like I said, new installation, drywall, you know, sanding, painting, flooring, trying to make the thing look pretty.
And what did this?
That's it. And when I back in last year, the lady said, "Oh, okay. Well, only thing you need to do is submit an application for occupancy permit. I did that, paid them $180, and she told me once you get the building up to code, call code enforcement. We'll come out, inspect it. If it passes inspection, you get your permit. That's what I remember. Now fast forward, all of a sudden I'm at the tail end. I get this stop work order. I got the whole song and dance like, oh well, those people back then when you submitted the occupation permit, they didn't know what they were talking about. We let a couple of these people go. They got a new administration in there now, and I got all that. I even got this thing called non-conforming use.
Oh God! On the whole building?
I don't know all the ins and outs of it. Say that again, sir.
You got a non-conforming use violation on the whole building?
Brother Kris, I really don't know. To be honest with you, man, like all I know is right now they're telling me that I gotta apply for a zoning permit. I had to get drawings now, which I looked into. I was able to get in contact with the architect. They talk about anywhere between $3,000 to $3,500 for some drawings to get stamped.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why I need that because I'm not doing nothing structurally to the building. Why do I need to get
Well, if you're changing out the windows,
$3,000 worth of?
If you change out the windows, you probably got some framing that you can be doing in there, right?
I mean, yeah, the windows that I had put in, I had a bum contractor to put some of the windows in there crooked. It wasn't fully sealed and cocked on the outside. Things of that nature. So I had a guy,
You should have been here last week when the guy had the windows leaking. Make sure you put that metal up against there.
Yeah, put that the caulking and the capping. Craig.
Man, I had goofball. No, that's all good. I had a goofball that just didn't do right, you know what I'm saying, by installing the windows. Man, he had me spend a lot of money on some. Man, it is. He had me spend a lot of money on PVC trimming, which was actually really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't go too well because them guys were putting that. They were taking out the whole window, putting the PVC trim like from the inside of the building. If that makes any sense, like they were actually like hanging out the window in sense.
Oh my God!
Putting the stuff up. Oh yeah, it was bad, man. So. You know, I tried to work with the brother, man. After a while, man, I said, yeah, I can't.
All right, Craig, this I'm gonna make it real short and sweet for you. Once they give you a stop work order,
you're done.
And once you're done. And then to make it worse, non-conforming, that's even worse.
But his fault is non-conforming. I mean, that was non-conforming.
So this is the reality, bro. You're just gonna get the hard truth, real down low from both of us.
You better go kiss some booty.
When you choose to get into the real estate business, this is part of the process, and this is the game we chose to play. Now, I know for a fact, like in New York City, I don't care if you're hanging a kitchen cabinet, you're supposed to pull a permit. Does everybody pull a permit to hang a kitchen cabinet? Absolutely not. But once they're in your property, everything's got to be done by the book, and to do it by the book, everything's more expensive, including the contractor, because now he's got to submit everything he's doing for permits, and he's got to use his license number, and he's got to show his bond, he's got to show his workman's comp, his workman's disability. Everything's going to be a lot more expensive from this time forth to finish that job, and that's just the reality. And let me just prepare you for something else. You're going to get an inspector that comes in. And the inspector's going to say, let's say he'll say, all right, your framing is done right. Now you can start doing the roughing for your plumbing and your electrical. Then the plumber or the electrician inspector is going to come in and say, hey, this looks good, but this framing is wrong. And you're going to say, well, I got to write. The inspector from the framing department said that it was fine. And he's going to say, well, that inspector got fired because he didn't know what he's doing, so we're going to send another framing inspector. Meanwhile, my argument is, and that's what they told you about the previous people who told you were doing everything right. My argument is, what is it? If they were incompetent, that's a you problem, not a me problem. I did according to what.
That don't matter. He still got to get the CO.
Right. But when it comes to the government agencies, that don't fly. Now, in the private sector, as business people, If my employee fucks up, excuse me, I'm sorry, if my employee screws up, I got to eat it. But the buildings department, they're going to blame it on an employee, and they're not eating it. And they don't care because they still get paid.
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to get paid whether they worked, didn't work, did the job right, didn't do the job right. Irrelevant. They're going to get their time off. They're going to get their sick days. They're going to get their pension, and they're still going to get paid.
All right. So basically, bottom line, he needs to just go ahead and take the high route, go down there. Craig, whatever you get from them fools, get it in writing. They tell you something to do, type it up and get them to sign it. So you don't got to go back and forth with these.
Yeah, I got to go. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, but I got to go back and wrap these people. Like I said, because I paid for this occupancy permit, well, the applications, I say. I paid them $180. I'm not sure if that's a bag that holds any water, but it shows that I was in the code enforcement office seeking information. I feel like I got bad information.
It doesn't matter to them. Craig, do yourself a favor, man. Don't frustrate your life. Get the architect and tell the architect to hire the expediter. Because that's another thing. I don't talk to those fools anymore. I pay an expediter to do everything for me because they are very rude. I mean, usually they're rude. Very few times I've been to building departments where they're nice and helpful. But you know, there's so many rules and regulations and different personalities back there.
Yeah.
That the best thing for you is pay an expediter that does this every day, knows exactly which person not to go to and which person.
Usually they got their cell phones too, right? Don't they have? They can.
Side like here in the city of New York, it's so big that that's not happening. But like when you go to smaller areas, they'll have a personal relationship with them.
They'll say, "Hey, I can get this thing pushed through for you, no problem." But it's gonna be expensive. Great, just hire the architect, dog. Get it over with, man. It's gonna suck. It's gonna sting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a blessing, man. I think I'm gonna be good, man. Once I get over this little hump, man. You know what I mean?
Bro, you know what the crazy part is?
$3,500 fee.
Craig, you know what the crazy part is? With this experience, you're learning so much that it's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in your career. This one problem that you're having right now will never happen to you again.
You know exactly what to do.
Guarantee that.
Right.
All right, Craig, we got to get out of here, man.
That.
Thanks for calling, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you both, man. Thank you. I appreciate what y'all do.
Yes,
all right. Peace.
Yeah, that was a good, man. That's some great calls. Roundup family, I got to tell you, I got nothing but love for y'all. You guys are always bringing the heat. Damn. There's some unbelievable deals going out here.
You know what? These calls tonight were unbelievably good, man.
Wow. You guys are really doing it, man. I thought, Dan, you know, when we first started this, the calls were real skimpy. Right. Now I had to turn away 5 callers. I don't know if you know. My phone was ringing. Other people were calling. I
think we're gonna have to hire somebody to start screening the calls for us, man.
Yeah, I don't really know how to do that. You're right. I'll get my daughter to do it. So we'll be here next week, and tomorrow I got my friend coming on, Clint Combs. He's going to be talking about protecting asset protection strategies when we buy subject to and creatively. So make sure you're on here tomorrow. That's going to be Monday at 7:00. Right back here on the YouTube channel. Dan, what you got? What you want? Anything you want to tell them about mentorship? What you doing?
So guys, actually, if you could go to Dan Borrero Jr., bring up my free mentorship class, if you don't mind. Or bring it up and then click on it. So I do a free mentorship class every single Wednesday night. It's absolutely free to attend. It's free to sign up. Last week we had one of the representatives from Deal Machine teaching people how to find deals. And they gave everybody in my class an unbelievable discount if anybody that wanted it. The week before, 2 weeks ago, we had Rod Cliff on. Rod Cliff was talking about the mental state that you need to be in prior to investing in real estate. Now, for those of you that don't know who he is, the man's an animal. He's a beast in the business on the multi-family side of the business, owns hundreds of millions of dollars in property, manages them himself all over the country. And then, of course, I do my mentorship classes. We've done 115 classes for free, right? We've covered everything from how to manage your tenants, how to find those tenants, how to manage a contractor. We've covered everything. So
the site's not working. You got to talk to your guy.
Really? You go into DanielBorrerojr.com.
Danielle Borrero Jr.?
DanielBorrerojr.com.
Oh, Daniel. I thought it was Dan Borrero.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Which one you want to click on? The free mentorship?
Well, bring up the screen. That way they can see the whole thing.
Present. You got to get Dan.
Yeah. So, guys, so the reality. There you go. So you could if you click on free mentorship, join for free right there. You just type in your information, and you'll get a Zoom link. You'll get an email from me on Tuesday night, and one again on Wednesday afternoon, reminding you about the class, what we're going to be speaking about. I also provide you guys with a worksheet so you could write your notes on and keep track of the class itself. We've done 116 classes, actually, not 115, 116 classes. So please, join us. It's absolutely free. If you're serious about getting into this business, go to danielborrerojr.com and sign up immediately.
So we need y'all to just give Dan and I a little grace. We've been working on our mastermind. I've been begging Dan just because when you guys come in for consultations and coaching, we can just drop you right in here, and then you meet all the other people that are coming through me or coming through Dan. You're gonna get the best of both worlds, like all the stuff, landlording and tenants and dealing with it, permits and all that stuff with Dan. And then on my side, you get the private money and you get the creative financing and the subject to. So it's actually the best of both worlds. You're gonna get both sides. So we're putting that together. But please, if you guys can just give us some grace on the time, because it ain't easy to get this stuff right. All right, Dan. I'll see you soon, brother.
We got to take care, everyone.
Peace.